Thank you. So I'm the moderator. Hi, Wesley. Unfortunately, you weren't part of our brainstorming for the session, but you're here now. Great to have you, and thank you for everyone coming here. This is a more intimate format, so earlier this year, we had a conversation about the metaverse, and then we realized how much has happened. So today, our format is gonna be, we're gonna have some general questions, a round of introductions, but then we're gonna actually dive deeper into every project that everyone's working on. But without further ado, my name is Aleksandra. For those of you that don't know me, I've been working with digital arts and sort of like the internet and art for the last 7 years. In the recent year, I joined Joyn. And we're working on unlocking the creative potential for artists to collaborate with their projects. And at the same time, I'm a curator and the writer about Web3, arts, and our favorite topic, the metaverse. I'm going to pass on the mic to you for a brief introduction.
Yes, thank you, and sorry for not joining the brainstorming session. I was just looking at the other panel, which was very interesting as well, so I cannot be everywhere. I'm Wesley Pabis. I'm the founder and CEO of Augmento. We have a company in augmented reality software as a service, and what we are doing is we're having design furniture brands and artists that we are taking through augmented reality in the new phase of digitalization, where you're seeing that a lot of fashion brands, they're already making their way into this whole new space, into NFTs, into the metaverse. It is still an untapped market for the design industry, and we have to decorate the whole metaverse. But we're doing that with onboarding like a lot of new clients in this space. So when you have the traditional shopping, when you're going to the store, you can feel and touch a product. Online shopping comes with a lot of problems. A lot of people have like bad interpretation of a product, how it looks in their own space, or with artworks that art galleries don't know how an artwork is looking. They have to pay for insurance, for shipping. We're taking all of these pain points away with augmented reality, because you can see it instantly in your space. You have an immersive experience with the product, and with that, you have a better engagement with your clients. And from the whole Web3 perspective, we're taking those brands and those clients and consulting them in the new phase of the metaverse and decorating it. There's a lot of talent that is going to open up for that, for digital products, and we're helping the whole journey.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you, and nice to be here, guys. My name's Brandon Smith. I am one of 3 co-founders of a upcoming metaverse platform called Ethereum Worlds. Our concept's quite simple, actually. We had our first year birthday anniversary last week, which in this space seems like a really long time, but back in September of last year, we saw a need in the market, especially in metaverse platforms itself, to have a platform that was tailored to non-gamers, because one of our core and deep beliefs at Ethereum Worlds is the metaverse isn't just for gamers, and we know that there's a huge part of the market, a huge part of the segment that engages gamers, but there's all equally a market of kind of professionals and non-gamers, brands, organizations that are equally kind of excited about Web3 and the prospects of the metaverse. So we came up with the idea of our protocol, which was really based on consuming content in a different way, which is, I know we probably talk about what we think a metaverse is, but also creating a social platform with this kind of new platform that we're building. So we came up with the idea of Ethereum Worlds, and that really is the whole experience is tailored around and tailored to the non-gamer audiences. So we're really facilitating every other small demographic that we felt that was being switched off by some of the monoliths in the space, and that is kind of reflected with our narrative, our theme, and everything that we're doing there. And our goal as a platform as well, and as a community, is we're developing kind of what we call virtual destinations, with the first virtual destination being called Ethereum Towers. And it essentially is it's a virtual skyscraper full of luxury apartments that you would only hope you could afford in real life. And the land space inside it, apartments, are tokenized on the blockchain, such as a housing deed on the Ethereum blockchain. And when we do launch towards the end of the year, you will essentially be able to get your virtual apartment, which is that scarcity element as well. So a lot of things to unpack there. We're releasing at the end of the year, but even today we've been named in the top 30 metaverse sales of all time by A16Z's earlier in this year. So super proud to be a part of that as well. I'll pass to Pete.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
And GM, everyone. It's lovely to be here and with some very cool projects on the stage as well. So my name's Pete. I'm the VP, one of the original team at Cudos. For anyone that doesn't know who Cudos is, actually half the team is in here. All I can see is our logos everywhere. So thanks for coming for the support, guys. But anyone that doesn't or isn't familiar with Cudos, we're a layer 1 blockchain, but the real USP is that we provide access to global scalable compute. So, we got into this space because we identified a gap, and that gap is very much that everyone is looking at the blockchains, how can we get them more faster? How can we get them lower cost on transactions? But the bit that was seemingly being ignored was the actual infrastructure that we all need to scale out onto. So, AWS, Azure, all of these other hyperscale companies are still taking the majority of the kind of computation that sat behind all of your projects in a very centralized way. So we wanted to kind of distribute that. So we've created best analogy is probably like an Airbnb of cloud computing effectively, and the blockchain provides that access into that. So as a metaverse, I've taken the opposite approach here because everyone else is a cool project that sits on top. We're kind of more the picks and shovels play. But it would mean that, as a metaverse, if you needed to have a node in Australia, Japan, Rio de Janeiro, wherever that's going to be, so you're within that kind of 20 millisecond golden time of latency for good performance for those end gamers, then you would come to Cudos and you would be able to deploy those nodes, and we aggregate all of that kind of hardware behind the scene. So that's me. I could talk forever, so I'm going to shut up now and pass it to Alessandro.
Thank you. I'm Alessandro De Grandi, CEO and founder of the Nemesis, and I think that the best way to explain Nemesis is take a little tour with a video clip. Maybe you can start the video clip? 1 minute. Okay, so the Nemesis is a metaverse ready to use, available from mobile and WebGL. We are ready on iOS and Android. You can use it. It's very easy because our focus is create a user experience, a clean user experience to move people from Web 2 into Web 3. This is the main focus that we have. We are blockchain agnostic. So the point is not the blockchain, what blockchain we want to use, because we are on Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, different type of blockchain. But the point is that you can use this type of metaverse without any type of blockchain. So the point is the people are still on the Web 2, are still on the social media, and we want to merge this type of mass market into an experience. We want to give a new type of experience inside the metaverse, and we do that in 2 different ways. The first one, of course, is the virtual reality, and we have a third-person character that you can use it inside mobile and WebGL. And the second one will be released by the end of this year with Oculus. And the third one is in a real world. So the most beautiful metaverse that we have, because it's a real world. So we can use also the gamification inside the real world and merge real and virtual together. So for example, if you buy a pair of shoes in a real shop, right now you can buy it on a retail, on a shop, and you can use it with the Nemesis directly on the metaverse, on your character, because we have the mobile and we can merge and move directly the people on the platform. Okay.
We're just going to load the clip, from Nemesis.
Thank you.
Oh, are we able to do this? I didn't know.
No audio? Okay. Okay, I speak about. This is an example of metaverse, okay? And you can take different type of experience. Live event, for example, we released the first football match in the metaverse with the Italian Premier League, live concert, and you can move, you can enjoy with mobile and WebGL event. So, for example, the Zebu event is streaming live in the metaverse. And the gamification, because the gamification right now is the most important driver that we have on the metaverse world ecosystem. So the player and the user that come inside a metaverse is gamer first. For example, this is another gameplay that we have on Polygon chain and Landsales. So you can create the world by yourself with our editor. It's live. You can use it. It's not a PowerPoint or a promise. Is really live. So we have also our NEMS token. The token is a token that you can use inside the platform, and you can use it, for example, for play to earn and etc. Okay.
Thank you so much. Wow. Thanks so much to all our panelists for the brief introductions. I think we touched upon many questions that we're going to answer throughout the session, and I love how everyone's approaching the concept of architecting the metaverse from a different angle. I think it would be great to maybe lay a foundation for the definition of what a metaverse is, because there might be like a slight blurred line between the previous multiplayer environments and virtual gaming. Like, how would you define the idea of the metaverse, and what are some of the key components that make it a metaverse?
There's a lot of different interpretations for the metaverse, and we're still trying to figure out, all of us, like how it's going to look like. What we believe is that it's not only in the virtual world, but it's also offline and augmented, because there's some big firms now creating digital twins of our existing world. With AR NFTs that are coming in the market, and with AR glasses that are coming in the market, we are also going to be experiencing the metaverse within our own world. You're going to be playing games while walking on the street or while running that you can play to earn. For us, you can place digital objects in your space. You can have like some fishes swimming over the wall, or create like this as a birthday space. That's also going to be a metaverse. So there's a lot of interpretations of it. And we focus mainly on the augmented part, because at the moment, everybody has a phone in his pocket. I don't know how many of you got an Oculus or VR glasses at home. See some fingers. Only one person. So 3.
A bit more.
3. So
Me too.
I expect that you have it. But so that is something that is still far away from us. And of course, it will grow over time. But now at this moment, to make that entering in this whole space, we need to do it through augmented reality, because we need to have, we are still like, we are the people that love Web3 and Metaverse, but we're still like a super small population of like enthusiasts. And we need to get into that mass adoption, and augmented reality will be the bridge into that.
Cool. Yeah, we're building an Oculus, by the way, just also, so it's me and you there. Like, no, it's a great question. I agree with everything you said as well. I think maybe more of a fundamentalist. I just think in terms of, for me, and we spoke about this as well, Alex, on the call, right, about, one metaverse, or is there thousands? I'm definitely in the camp of thousands and millions in the future, because I just see the metaverse as a new kind of platform to consume content, right? The mechanics of that for augmented reality, through third-person mobile gaming, you're engaging a segment of the audience of the market there, using a particular type of, technology there as well. But in my mind, I do just see it as another platform to consume content. Just in 2006, as YouTube came, and we could draw some kind of parallels into user-generated content, and I think that's a really, really key part of the difference between, like, we talked about a multiplayer environment or virtual reality kind of experiences. I think one of the core fundamentals for me is, you've got a platform. This is a new platform to consume content, but it's also the way that the platform should also curate experiences that aren't necessarily developed by the people that own that platform. And that's the beautiful thing of what we're in here. So to give an example, and I'm sure all of us could talk about how this applies to our particular projects, but we know about kind of the land builders of Decentraland and Sandbox. We know about other areas where people can create experiences. Really, I see that platform, the metaverse, whatever that is, kind of just facilitating that action being happening, almost like how Google facilitates Google Meets calls and Zoom facilitates Zoom calls. The content isn't created by Zoom, it's created by the people on the call. And I just, again, maybe I'm a bit more of a fundamentalist, like I say, but that's how I see it. And then there's different ways how you can approach it, of course. So yeah, that's my fundamental views.
Thank you. I guess I take a slightly different approach to define what a metaverse is, and I know everyone in this room is understands what metaverse as a concept is, but I still think there's different definitions of what it is. So, for me, it's not virtual reality, it's not augmented reality. They are just ways that you can experience the metaverse, right? And all of these different metaverse projects are in effect building virtual worlds or virtual environments, virtual planets, virtual experiences. The metaverse, in that case, or in the way I'm explaining it, is therefore the immersive internet that we are kind of transitioning into. And I think that's like a really important distinction to add.
I totally agree, and I think that's maybe we have to take a realistic picture, an honest picture of the state of the art in terms of metaverse, because we are talking about metaverse, and the hype on the metaverse world is come from is after the announcement of Facebook and the rebranding of Meta, etc. And but the real state of the art is that we have to build an ecosystem behind. And the point is that maybe the first error that we are doing is that when we talking about metaverse, we talking also with NFT crypto ecosystem. It's not like this, because it's not only for NFTs and crypto ecosystem. So this is the first point. And the approach is very important, because the mass market is still on social network. This is a fact. And we have to move from this type of experience to another experience, that maybe augmented reality, the virtual reality, it doesn't matter. But the point is that we have to move and we have to merge Web 2 step by step into Web 3. And we have to work a lot to do this transition, because for now, the point is that there is not a user experience clean. The people are scared about the crypto ecosystem, not all of course, but I'm a crypto enthusiast, but the point is that is not ready, the ecosystem. We have to work on this point. And for example, one of the points that we're talking about on Metaverse is a play to earn. But right now we have to think about learn to play. So after when we have the ecosystem ready, maybe we can talking about play to earn. Right now is something for enthusiasts, nerd, people that have experience inside a crypto ecosystem and in the metaverse. Step by step, we have to move this market size on the mass market to the ecosystem of metaverse. That's the point, my opinion.
Yeah, I want to respond on you because I think it's very good that you made that addition to what I was saying, because it is like a 3D version of the web that we are creating, and it has like lots of different components in it, and we have to see how we can like integrate that all together and make that interoperable with each other, how we can like communicate within this whole space, which is virtual, which is augmented, and like a good take on it.
So many ways to experience it. It's going to be good fun.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone for answering the question. As you can see, there's still many definitions and also many angles to consider what a metaverse is, whether it's a virtual experience, whether it's the protocol layer, whether it's a concept in your head. And speaking of protocols, so Brendan, like you mentioned, you guys are building a protocol for the metaverse, and how are you shaping it to actually cater for the audience? Like, how do you find the product market fit?
Yeah, I think I briefly mentioned before, it came from that, I think fundamentally it came from our belief that the metaverse is not just for gamers. So I think when we were looking back in September last year and what our kind of development pipeline looked like and our kind of how we were going to carve our path in the market, it really came down to the user stories of those segment audiences. So I said earlier about how we are tailoring our experiences, not necessarily to gamers, professionals, small medium enterprises, charities, brands, other organizations, small clubs, or just generally, non-gaming individuals. We really kind of sat back with our analysts and whatnot and thought about what would they genuinely want to use the platform for? Like what do they expect from the metaverse? Like, what are they going to get from this? So I think that fueled kind of our outlook on how we'd approached kind of 2022. And obviously we're 9 or 10 months into it. And I think it became really, really important that we understood exactly what those interactions look like in our protocol and our platform. So we talked about Ethereum Worlds and Ethereum Towers, that first virtual destination, really being more of a social platform. And what do we do on social platforms? We interact with one another. Why would we want to interact with one another. Could it be for entertainment? Yes, social media, people go on social media for entertainment. Could it be for education? Yes, that's a huge growing sector. Could it be for corporate and business to business? You know, teams are using the metaverse and metaverse spaces for team meetings instead of that kind of pandemic Zoom that everybody got really bored of. And I think that's a really cool way to engage people. So all of these kind of concepts really drove what we kind of our beliefs as well. The other thing that we had a real kind of urge to do was we knew that the current offering back late last year, early this year, was the fact that most of the narratives for a lot of the protocols were quite dystopian and quite gamey. So we have like Voxel, and there's nothing wrong with that by any means, but I know if I'm trying to engage my dad to get involved with this technology, he probably doesn't want to play like the Lego version of things, and that's down to him and his preferences. Or it's kind of really sexy and cyberpunky and really dark. We couldn't be more opposite, and we couldn't be more different, and that's a real kind of testament to what we're trying to build in the audience we're trying to target. So all of that in mind, that's really influenced the products that we've developed. So the one kind of key example that comes to mind is if you are a landowner, and in our protocol in Ethereum Towers, that is our apartments, and you get your virtual apartment, unlike a lot of the other protocols and experience that are out there, we have put a lot of resource, a lot of time into building basically that building experience to be really fun, really intuitive, does not require complex SDKs, does not require like 3D knowledge. It's very quick to deploy, very quick to mobilize, very quick to change, and is not time intensive, because we also got to realize that we have a lot of professionals that have our virtual land. They don't have time necessarily to go in and learn, or they don't want to pay somebody to build it like the sandbox builders. So we had to build a tool that was intuitive and fun. So that's kind of influence in our products, right? That's kind of the cycle we've gone. And we're taking that mentality and that approach to every major product we're putting out to market.
Thanks for sharing that. I have actually 3 questions to every participant to the panel, because you mentioned the idea of interconnectedness, multiplayer experience, like the immersive environment. So maybe Alessandro, it's best to ask you next, like the multiplayer environments, like single player mode versus multiplayer modes, like how do you shape that in your metaverse?
So this is another problem that we have to solve in terms of ecosystem, because the connection, the multiple connection, we need an infrastructure behind that that can support this type of approach, because it changed everything. We have to connect on with mobile headset, with mobile phone, with WebGL, with maybe Xbox, PlayStation, I don't know. And the point is 2 points. I think that the first point is the guideline and the approach to have an experience that can reduce the impact to the experience. Because right now, for example, for the headset, it's not easy to use an headset. I use an headset for Oculus, for example, to test for 1 hour per day. It's very, very heavy. So you have to put something on your head. You have to, is a barrier, okay? And people are on mobile. 97% of people are on mobile, and use mobile or use I don't know, the social network is very easy, because you have to move a feed with one hand. The change that we are making is a different type of approach in user experience. So we have to think that the moving from this type of experience with one tap and I like something to an immersive experience is something that is completely disruptive. Why? The gamification and the gamer right now, for the moment, are the best target for us. Because those people is ready. They know how does it work. And trust me, and 12 years old people can put the headset for 5 hours without any type of problem. And it's very, very important to merge this type of Gen Z to the mass market approach, because it's not ready for the mass market. So we have to move step by step and create the user experience behind. So for this reason, for example, we don't release our Oculus version, because it's a small market right now, and there is all this barrier that we have to remove. And mobile is the fast way to approach this type of experience. So you can move, for example, in Nemesis, you can use the mobile phone with one hand. And it's not for hardcore gamer. Hardcore gamer wants to have a landscape mode, but you have to use 2 hands. It's too difficult. My mother it's insane thinking that my mother can use the double joystick. We have to think the user experience. And to do that, we have to think that Web 2 have a specific rule, and we have to work at the same time to solve the problem that we have with the user experience on Web 3. For this reason, for example, on the Nemesis, you can use the Nemesis without any type of wallet. You can enter without wallet, but if you have the wallet, you can sync, and you can have more experience because it's ready for this type of auction.
Yeah, like the seamlessness of that experience for anyone to be able to access it. And I think, Pete, you were also almost ready to respond to that, because I know you work a lot on cross-chain interconnectedness. Could you maybe define first what cross-chain means, and then just jump into how you're solving it?
Sure. My arm just twitched, by the way, so I wasn't going to jump in. So yeah, I think you talked about the user experience, which is of course really, really important. But I think it's also the project and the developer experience, right? So, being able to have the tools, the platform, the infrastructure there at your disposal that makes your life easier on the back end is going to give you more time to focus on the front end, right? So I think that's really important as well. So when we talk about interconnectedness, in the network world, we call it interoperability. So it's the ability to be able to interact between, different networks or platforms in that sense. So I'm just making sure that Robbie from Animoca Brands is not in the room, because I'm going to nick his analogy here. So no. Robbie once said that you've got all these great cities around the world: Sydney, London, Rio de Janeiro. I've used that twice today. Hong Kong. I really want to go there. Paris. Wherever. It doesn't matter, right? You've got all these great cities around the world, and London. And importantly, these cities have all got different communities, and they've all got different cultures. Yet I want to go and travel and see all of these different cities. And if I'm a business, I'm going to want to operate in all of these different cities. So, over time, we've worked out how to first travel by train and now by plane. And there's all these different ways that we're interconnected with these cities now. And now we've got the Metaverse, of course. We don't have to go anywhere. We can just put on some glasses, or we can go on our mobile, and we're there in a flash. So the same has got to happen in blockchain. And it's starting to come in. You're seeing bridges. You're seeing things like Wormhole between Solana and Ethereum. I think the closest to a standard that we've got, and we haven't got a standard yet, just to be clear, but I think the closest to a standard we've got that is similar to like TCP/IP, which is what kind of brought all the different internet networks together in the early 90s. Is IBC on the Cosmos ecosystem, which is actually just starting to be integrated outside of the Cosmos ecosystem now. And that's the inter-blockchain communication protocol, right? So the idea is that any of these IBC chains, they are fully interoperable. That's still at an early stage, like I say, because it's all still so nascent. But that's really, really, really important. And that's the blockchain level. And now we talk about the cloud level that's below that, right? And I've referenced this in the introduction, but if you are going to build a metaverse and scale that metaverse out, particularly the more kind of photorealistic ones, that require heavy graphics cards to be able to do that real-time rendering, that need to be within the 20 millisecond zone that I said, which is a fifth of a blink of an eye, just to put that into context. Then you can't just go to one vendor and get that. You can't go to AWS and get that. They've got 16 regions around the world. They've got a shit ton of compute in each one of them, but they're not within 800 kilometers of every single person and gamer on this planet. So you've got all these game streaming companies out there that are spending time and resource in going and having to find all of these hundreds of different vendors to be able to support their services so their gamers get a seamless experience. And so, what we're doing at Cudos is very much creating that distributed cloud where all of these different vendors and all of these, anyone is able to contribute to that cloud. All right, so there you're getting the distribution. And it means you've got the coverage as well, and you're getting all of that kind of computing come onto the network. And then by having that blockchain layer on top, we're converging those two technologies, then hopefully we can address those kind of current limitations that are in the market. But it's still early stage. There's a long way to go. I just want to make that clear. But that's the goal here, and we want to see more people that are coming in and collaborating with us or doing it, because I think Intel said we need 1,000 times more compute. NVIDIA said 50% of the internet in the next 5 years is going to be 3D and graphics cards. Yeah. There is more demand than there is supply out there at the moment, so we need these alternative solutions. And that's my view on interconnectedness.
Amazing. Wow, that was a really good response. And it's important because the more we see niche case studies, like people choose to build on different blockchains depending on which needs they need to cater, the more we have solutions that can integrate that, the more improvement we can see in the quality. And this leads me to the next question. Like, I'm sure many people are wondering why, like, what's going on with the graphics? Like, why do I feel like I'm back 10 years? Like, how do you see like the evolution of virtual environments and the quality that we're experiencing today in the metaverse?
Yeah, that has something to do with the hardware. We have a lot of expectations, and our patience is like very low because we're seeing this all amazing trailers of the metaverse, how it's going to look like, and then they're showing the first gameplay or the first images, and then you think that you're like stuck in this sandbox world still, while they are making it with an Unreal Engine 5. So like our expectations are very high, and we want to see everything in this photorealistic quality. And that is also what we like have to like move forward to. But if companies cannot show it yet, like they have to be honest about it and manage their expectations better. Because if you when the expectations are high and you're showing like some footage of like something that's really not looking like half of the quality that it used to be or that it should be, then like people are going to leave. And the most important thing about is community. Like building a community is not like your most viable product, but your most viable community, because that is what you need to move on in this world, to be strong as a team, because we're not doing it alone. The companies, they are making like amazing content, and we should like be making that, but we need our community to drive forward in that and to actually like use it. And yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. I think like you mentioned community, and that's something that's a massive part of the space. And I think what differs it from like the Web 2 like traditional world is where you have the community being actively participating in your project and what you're building. And I wanted to touch upon the idea of creative economy and how your teams are sort of like helping on boards, but also creators to monetize on what they're doing. And maybe if we do have some young, brilliant creators in the room, but for artists that are maybe tuning in today, what would be like your advice on monetization and getting involved with the metaverse?
Who wants to, like, who did you ask the question to?
It's for everyone. Like we're skipping, I think we got a deep dive for everyone.
I try to reply. The creator economy, it's the most important thing for all metaverse ecosystem, because it's insane to think that the owner of the metaverse and the company that create the metaverse can create metaverse for companies. So we have to create an ecosystem behind. Also here we have to create the tool to manage the scalability of the metaverse. So, for example, in our case, we have a program manager for agency for media company that can use our tool and our support to create by themselves for the customer, for a final customer, for their customer, the metaverse. And but to monetize this type of experience, there are a lot of things that you can do inside the metaverse right now. It's ready. And for example, we think that a digital architect is one of the most important activity that you can do inside the metaverse. But it's not true, because, for example, a lot of events that we host for company, for brand, need, for example, a DJ set. And the DJ set is another type of art, but is a work that you can do in a metaverse. The digital art is another things, other stuff that you can play, you can do, you can use in a metaverse. Sound designer is not digital architect, but is another work that you can do inside the metaverse. All type in terms of communication and content creation is very important, because, for example, in our metaverse, you can create by yourself your gameplay inside your metaverse. But for example, the treasure hunt, we have a system to create a treasure hunt. But if you don't have the content creator, you don't have content to release the treasure hunt, because you have to create the story, you have to create a storytelling inside. So there are a lot of new work, new activities that we can create inside the metaverse, but we have to create the ecosystem behind it. Is something that we have to change is the mindset. And because it's the first things, because if you're thinking about that metaverse is only NFT, crypto again, it's not only crypto, NFTs. There are an ecosystem behind that we have to create and we can release in metaverse. Step by step, of course, we need time. Also for the graphic, I agree, totally agree with you. We want to release a photorealistic idea from Ready Player One. I think that is the point of success for all companies that create metaverse right now. But we have a lot of problem in terms of rendering time, a lot of problem in terms of structure, infrastructure, and we need this time to create it, to fill the gap from the mass market adoption to the final release that maybe will be in 3-4 years.
Okay, I think we are approaching 1 minute. I think just as a takeaway for people that attended today, if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice beginning to work in Web3, what would you give? And we'll do, like, everyone gets a... Yeah, you go first, Wesley.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
Brandon,
so
you go first.
I'll keep it really quick because I don't have much time. We put a lot of effort into collaboration, working with so many different communities and projects, community exposure, product integration opportunities. I think today in a year we've partnered with like 80 communities and products so far. I wish I could go back a year and reiterate even more, shake me, and say how important that was, and not only to do that because we'd have more than 80, but also to continue to nurture those opportunities, because that's how we're growing. That's really been our route to market. That's been our biggest return on investment opportunity as well.
Okay, I'm going to go forward into the future because I'm always awkward. So actually, no, I'm going to talk about the present. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I did a presentation a couple of weeks ago. That if you think about the technology that's being built now, so AR, VR goggles are going to get ultra thin, super high tech. So imagine if you're born today, and then in 10 years' time you're going to school, right? And you walk into class, and the teacher says, "Oh, we're going to go to Saturn today, and we're going to have a look at the rings and teach you about that." So you put in your glasses, get on the school spaceship, and off you go in a flash. You're there, and you're doing this tour around. So it's got all these different things that you can do. Like, this is where my mind's going. So I think now, thinking about that today, it's like, well, we want to walk in, we want to put those in. We don't want to like log into wallets or anything like that. We just want to be straight there. And I think that's what we need to get to, is that whole user experience and kind of all of those barriers out of place, and then we've nailed it.
Yeah, I think that is what, in addition of what you were saying, that is important, because we're not there that we can just connect our wallet and be in that whole space where we can shop in different places or be in different places. And we need to come to some kind of middle stage in between like Web 2 and Web 3, where like people have the feeling like to feel comfortable to be in this whole space, that they don't have the feeling like, I don't get this, I don't get blockchain, I don't get Web3, to make it more accessible for people to start using it. And I think that's a very important step to make in between like this whole bridging to Web3.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for coming today, and the speakers for sharing your knowledge.